Welcome back to New Jersey Power and Politics. I'm Luke Margolis. Political odds makers don't have too many of New Jersey's congressional districts seriously in play this fall, but our next guest says he's ready to take the 5th district, that is. Roy Cho is a Democratic candidate for Congress, and he joins us now. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Luke. I'm a big fan of the show.
Thank you. A little bit of housekeeping first. Your relationship with News 12 goes back, I guess, a little bit of ways. You were the 1999 finalist for our Scholar Athlete of the Year. Is that right?
Yes, I was, Luke.
Well, full disclosure, we looked for the video but couldn't find it. We were going to try to embarrass you, but we couldn't pull it off.
My mom has a tape of it somewhere, so
she'll send it in.
She'll send it in, exactly.
Okay, good. So let's start first with your background a little bit. Tell us a little bit about where you're from, and because you're a bit of an unknown from political commodities, I should say, unknown to some of the voters here. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in New Jersey. I went to high school at Freehold Township High School, public school. I was on the wrestling team over there, which is why I was able to get that award.
Good, obviously very good.
I went to Brown University, studied political science, graduated in 2003, and was able to get a job working at the governor's office for about a year. I went to the Port Authority to work 2 years in transportation policy, working directly for the deputy director at the time. Then I went down to D.C. to work as correspondence director to Senator Byron Dorgan from North Dakota, moderate Democrat. And I was going to law school at night at Georgetown. Graduated from law school in 2009, and frankly wanted to go right into politics, but some political mentors of mine said, Roy, you still have some student loans to pay off. You've never had a job outside of politics and government. You should probably go into the private sector, pay down your debt, and learn something about business. So
get a little seasoning.
Get a little seasoning, exactly, in the private sector. So I've been working as a corporate private equity and M&A attorney for the last 5 years, and volunteering politically and getting acclimated with Bergen County politics.
You're a young guy. I mean, there's no bones about that. You're a young man. Do you think that's an opportunity for you or a challenge? When people ask about your age, how do you tend to respond to that?
Sure. I think that the exciting thing about running for political office right now is that I think the dynamics of political office have really changed. You're seeing a lot of young first-time candidates run successfully for federal office. A great mentor to me has been Congressman Patrick Murphy from Florida, from the Miami area. He was elected in 2012 as a first-time candidate. He is now the youngest member of Congress at the age of 30. So I think that what you're seeing is a lot of people from the private sector who are people who just don't have political experience saying, you know what, there's a lot of dysfunction in Congress, there's a lot of gridlock, and it's important for us to be able to inject some ingenuity and creativity into the political process.
So you're a Monmouth County guy, I guess, initially by birth. How'd you get up into the 5th District? What's your connection to the area now?
Yeah, sure. So I know Bergen County very well. Just my parents had a lot of friends and family growing up there, so growing up I traveled to Bergen a lot. I've been in Hackensack now for the last couple of years. I've been living in Hackensack while I was commuting back and forth to my law firm in Manhattan. So yeah, I've been volunteering politically in Bergen County, so I have good familiarity with the district and with the area.
If you're familiar with the district, you know that Congressman Garrett's kind of an institution up in the northern part of the state.
That's right.
He's been at it for about 6 terms now, and no bones about it. I think he'd admit it. He's one of the most conservative voices in New Jersey politics, or in D.C. for sure, as far as reflected from New Jersey. What makes you so confident that a guy who's running on the Democratic ticket can sway voters away from a guy who's been up there for so long?
Sure, Luke. I think the real reality is that this is a very new district. In 2011, after the census, they redrew the map. So Scott Garrett lost over half of his voting base, and a new portion of the district in Bergen County was dropped into it. So I think for our purposes, this is a new district, and it's going to be a very, very exciting election for that reason alone.
You need to have some sort of issue or voice that allows you to pierce through some of, I guess, the voter, I don't want to say mistrust of a Democratic candidate, but maybe just to sway their voters over a little bit. What is it? Your business acumen? Is it your legal acumen? You mentioned some experience with student loans. What is it about you as a candidate that you think will resonate with voters in this district?
I think that right now what we're seeing in Congress, we're seeing a very, very unpopular Congress, one of the most unpopular in history. It's also the least productive Congress that we've seen. I mean, even Harry Truman's famous Do-Nothing Congress of 1948, that Congress was able to send 900 bills to the president's desk. This one has sent 100. So I think the reality is people usually say, people hate Congress, they love their congressman, but the reality is right now people are very, very unhappy. There's a strong anti-incumbency feeling across the country. I think that's really starting to play itself out in the election, and I'm confident that we're going to be able to see that in November as well.
One of the big criticisms that Republicans have about Democrats is that they are happy to write the checks and worry about where the money comes from later. So I'm going to ask you a question that everybody in the House seems to face these days. Do you think, economically speaking, we have a revenue problem or a spending problem?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that actually what we have to inject back into politics and into government is common sense and nuance. I think the reality is when people say a little bit of both, that's not a cop-out answer. I think the reality is, for example, if you build an off-ramp off of a highway, that off-ramp will create business for the local diner. It creates eyes on new real estate property that's in the area, and it gets business going in the local economy. So I think for our purposes, we have to focus on where we can make long-term public-private partnerships and investments in areas like transportation and infrastructure. So we have to focus on how we can really think about long-term revenue growth as opposed to looking through it from a short-term short-term lens.
I've got time for one more question. I follow you on Twitter, so I know you're a busy man. Talk to me about your Get Out the Vote efforts. That you guys are beating the pavement. I see you out there. What's the run-up to November going to look like for you?
Sure. We've been raising money at a very, very fast clip right now, but we've been really focusing on our grassroots and volunteerism. So we're knocking on doors every single day, and the response that we're getting from voters in the district has been incredible. As people are excited at the opportunity to be able to have somebody who's not from the political sphere run for political office and inject some creativity into the political process.
Roy Cho, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me, Luke. I appreciate it.
I'm sure we're going to see you soon, I think.
Thank you so much.
All right, and also just a housekeeping note, we are going to extend an invitation, or we have extended an invitation. We are waiting to hear back from Congressman Garrett. We hope to have him on soon as well. Thanks for joining us, Roy, and please stay with us, folks. More politicians are taking the Ice Bucket Challenge. Yeah, this is video you're going to want to see. We'll be right back on Power and Politics.